Home Depot's business has been more volatile than usual in the last 5 years. The unprecedented circumstances of the pandemic were a surprising seesaw for Home Depot. Home improvement spending surprisingly surged during the lockdown stages of the pandemic, and now, as economies reopened, demand for home improvement has decreased as people choose to spend their money elsewhere. And there's only so many rooms you can paint, right? So, since they painted the rooms already during the pandemic, people are spending money on other things now. But where does that leave Home Depot? And where could the stock price end up by the end of next year? It's an interesting company to consider and one that I've been following for several years now because of the competitive advantage Home Depot has. It's been able to withstand an onslaught from Amazon that has crushed so many other brick and mortar retailers, but Home Depot has survived and even thrived. And so that's got me interested in Home Depot stock, and Home Depot stock has been rated as one of my top stocks to buy this year and has performed relatively well. But let me share with you where I think the stock price can end up by the end of next year. Hey everyone, I want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video. Moomoo is a trading platform where you can buy and sell stocks and other investments. I use the platform for investing myself. If you join using the link in my description, you can get up to 15 free stocks. All right, so to make my stock price prediction for Home Depot for 2025, I need some numbers to make my prediction, and I'm going to share with you where I'm getting the numbers and what the numbers are. So I'm getting this forward price to earnings ratio from Y charts, and the forward PE for Home Depot is 27.27. I need this number for my price prediction. I also need Home Depot's GAAP earnings per share estimate for its fiscal year that ends on January 31st, 2027. And that number is $16.86. You might be asking, why am I getting a 2027 estimate to make my prediction for 2025? Let me explain. So I'm using the 1-year forward PE, and I'm trying to calculate the stock price by the end of next year. So that means I need the earnings expected in the year 2026. Home Depot is one of those companies that has a fiscal year that's different from the calendar year. They're allowed to do that. So their fiscal year for 2026 ends on January 31st, 2027. So it's a bit of a confusing situation, but that's why I'm using the 2027, the calendar year that ends January 31st, 2027, earnings per share estimate for Home Depot. Now, of course, nobody knows what's going to happen in the future, but this is the 20 Wall Street analysts that are following Home Depot stock. They make their estimates on where they think its earnings per share will be. And this is a collection of those estimates. This is at the website ticker.com, TIKR. And they collect those analyst estimates, and this is the average of those estimates. Of course, they don't know what's going to happen in the future, but they have close relationships with Home Depot's management team and their industry experts. So their earnings per share estimates are a reasonable estimation for where you can expect its earnings per share to end up in that fiscal year. So now that we have the estimates we need, we can go ahead and predict or forecast where Home Depot stock price could be by the end of next year. So if the company is on pace to hit that target of $16.86 in EPS, and the forward PE multiple remains at 27.27, then the stock price could reach $460 by the end of next year. That's less than 10% upside from the current share price of $429 per share. By the way, I've embedded this current price as a formula on my spreadsheet, which updates as market prices update. And you can get access to all of my spreadsheets with these predictions and the buy, hold, and sell recommendations with the channel membership at the investor tier. Moving along. If the forward PE multiple was actually to decrease next year, then the stock price could fall to $404 per share. If the forward PE multiple were to fall further to 20, the stock price could fall to $337. And at a forward PE of 18, the stock price could fall all the way to $303 per share. Now, I do think that the forward PE is more likely to be lower by the end of next year than higher. That's because if you look at Home Depot's forward PE multiple, you can see it's the highest it's ever been right now. This stock doesn't generally trade at a forward PE multiple above 25. It's a business that's not going to grow at double digits on the top line for sure. Revenue growth of 7 or 8% per year would be a solid expectation for Home Depot over the longer term. And then earnings per share growth of about double that. So let's say 15-16% EPS growth would be great for Home Depot with top line growth of 7 or 8%. So this type of a business doesn't warrant a valuation closer to 30, right? This is close to a valuation for NVIDIA stock. NVIDIA is trading at a forward PE of 31. So a slow-growing brick-and-mortar retailer like Home Depot, even though it has strong competitive advantages, being able to withstand Amazon and being able to withstand any other rival in the home improvement industry, still a forward PE of closer to 30 would be stretching it. So for that reason, I expect the forward PE multiple to stay either where it is or to fall. And so if the price increases next year, I think it'll be more likely because it beats expectations on earnings. And that's a strong possibility. Earnings per share could rise more than expected next year. The housing industry is one of those industries that are out of whack, in my opinion, especially in the United States. Home prices are extremely overvalued, not just overvalued. I think they are extremely overvalued. And Home Depot management has said one of the main things that drives home improvement spending are home prices. When people feel that their homes are worth more money, they're more interested in investing in fixing the home and upgrading the home and adding an extra bedroom and adding an extra deck or patio space, whatever the upgrade might be. People are more enthusiastic about it when home prices are rising. They feel like it's an investment rather than an expense. And the opposite is true when home prices are falling. People are less interested in spending money on their homes. So I felt home values have been overvalued for 4 years now, ever since the pandemic caused home prices to surge, and they've remained elevated. Even though interest rates increased, the home prices have remained elevated. And so even though I feel like they're overvalued, I think they will remain overvalued next year. I don't see any catalyst that's going to drive down home prices. People are not over leveraged. They don't have mortgages as heavily leveraged as they were in, leading up to the financial crisis of 07, 08. So there isn't that big catalyst that's going to drive down home prices. If anything, they might be flat instead of increasing anymore. But I don't forecast a big decrease, even though homes are overvalued. So I see that working in Home Depot's favor. Those overvalued homes are going to make people more interested in fixing their homes, upgrading their homes, because they feel like it's a good investment to make. So all that being said, where do I think is my base case for Home Depot stock by the end of next year? Where do I think it most likely ends up? Well, I think it ends the year somewhere in a range between $430 and $470 per share by the end of next year. And those factors that I highlighted earlier are going to be the main driving forces. Home values and how people feel about their homes are going to be the biggest driver of spending on homes. And Home Depot will benefit if people feel like their homes are continuing to increase in price. Hey everyone, so many of you have been asking about my investing strategy, and I'm excited to announce that I've written a book that's available for sale now that describes my 6-step investing framework for evaluating stocks. I've added the link in the description below.